On July the 4th, 2020, 32-year-old Elodie Duval visited Parc Saint Paul in northern France with her family to celebrate her son's second birthday. Later that day, during a ride on the park's Formula 1 roller coaster, something went terribly wrong. This led to her sudden death and the start of a legal case that questioned the park's safety practices. Many believe it was an incident that could have been completely prevented, but what exactly happened that day? Let's talk about it. But first, a quick message from today's sponsor. Let me tell you why Incogni is one of the best sponsors I've ever worked with, and honestly, one of the most important tools I use. We all know spam calls and emails are out of control, but what most people don't realise is how these companies get that personal information. Your name, phone number, address, even stuff like court records or job history. This is being bought and sold by hundreds of data brokers. These companies gather everything they can about you and sell it to advertisers, marketers, and yes, even scammers. Almost everyone deals with these calls at some point, but do you ever wonder how they keep getting your number no matter how many times you block them? It's because these data brokers sell your phone number to companies to build massive call lists. That's literally how the cycle keeps going. That's where Incogni comes in. They don't just block spam, they go straight to the root of the problem. Incogni automatically contacts over 230 data brokers on your behalf. They demand that they remove your personal information, and if there's a site that hasn't been tackled yet, you can request a custom removal. Since I've started using it, I've noticed a huge drop in spam emails and annoying spammy phone calls, and by the click of a button you could too. Use my link and code below to get 60% off an annual plan with Incogni. Seriously, take back control of your data. You'll thank yourself in the future. Now, let's get straight into the video. Elodie Duval was someone who meant everything to her family. Her sister, Lauriane, described her simply but powerfully, saying, "She was an incredible person who brought so much love to her family. She was full of life." Those who knew her knew how much she cared, especially when it came to her young son, Alan. He was the centre of her world. On July the 4th, 2020, Elodie, her partner Michael, and their son Alan went to Parc Saint Paul to celebrate his second birthday. It was meant to be a happy family day, and they were joined by her sister Lauriane, and the plan was simple: spend the day together as a family, ride a few attractions, and enjoy Alan's birthday. Parc Saint Paul, located near Beauvais in the northern region of France, was founded in 1983 by André Campion. He was a seasoned fairground operator and the brother of a well-known showman named Marcel Campion. Originally conceived as a simple recreational area with playgrounds and picnic spaces, the park gradually evolved with the addition of mechanical rides and attractions, becoming a top local destination for families in the area. In 1999, André's son, Gilles Campion, took over the reins of Parc Saint Paul, ushering in a new era of expansion and modernisation. Under Gilles' leadership, the park underwent substantial development, including the addition of themed attractions and the introduction of seasonal events such as Halloween, which extended the operating season and brought in a record number of visitors. Gilles worked closely with creative partners like MK-themed attractions to enhance the atmosphere with immersive decorations and live actors, successfully transforming Halloween into one of the park's most popular periods. Despite these successful advancements, Gilles' time at the park was not without controversy, and the ride this centred around was the Formula 1 ride. The Formula 1 ride was a steel Wild Mouse roller coaster at Parc Saint Paul, manufactured by Russian company PAX and opened on June 12, 2005. It featured a compact layout with a height of 15 metres and a track length of 380 metres, offering sharp turns and sudden drops, and it was known for being a bit more crazy than a standard Wild Mouse ride. The ride operated with 8 cars, each accommodating 4 riders, and utilising a chain lift hill for propulsion. Despite its popularity, Formula 1 was marred by safety concerns. One of these concerns came a few weeks after opening, when 11 people were injured on the ride when one of the cars crashed into a stationary car due to a brake failure. Then, in 2009, a rider was ejected from the roller coaster, resulting in her death. Not much is known about this case, as it was pretty swept under the rug until years later, but we do know that a 35-year-old woman boarded the ride and was thrown off to her death. An investigation into this was launched, but it was determined by officials that the park's management was innocent. They claim the 35-year-old woman died due to acting inappropriately on the ride, causing her to fall 10 meters and die. Despite the findings, the park ended up putting seatbelts on the ride, which only previously had a lap bar, and for 11 years, there were no further incidents on the ride. This leads us to the 4th of July, 2020. However, before we talk about that day, we need to touch on what happened a year prior. In 2019, the park manager, Jalise, removed the seatbelts from the Formula 1 ride. He claimed that the seatbelts did not constitute a real element of safety. They also made the decision to alter the lap bar mechanism, so heavy-set riders could not go on the ride. On the 4th of July 2020, Elodie along with her family arrived at the park. They spent the morning on rides before having cake and singing happy birthday to her son at around lunchtime. Elodie and her partner Michael queued up for the ride as her family watched from the side. The couple were put into their car and their lap bar was put down. It was then given the okay by operators and the ride set off. The ride was a relative speed and had sharp turns, but the incident did not happen until the end of the ride. As Jalise Campion would go on to say, towards the end of the attraction, there are 2 bumps. That's when this woman finds herself propelled. In front of her terrified husband, Elodie was ejected from the ride on one of these bumps. Witnesses recounted the horrifying moment. One bystander noted hearing screams before seeing Elodie fall from the ride. Her partner Michael, who was seated next to her, attempted to hold onto her leg as she slipped over the safety bar, but he was unable to prevent her fall. According to reports, Michael managed to hold onto her for over 3 meters before she slipped from his arms. The screams from park goers alerted the ride operator, who pressed the emergency stop button, but it would have been too late. Jalise would say, "The ride has several breaks, spaced apart from each other, what we call buffer zones. When you press the emergency button, the car continues their race until the next break, and that's when they all stop. She fell to the ground at the very last break." Her horrified family watched on as emergency services rushed to the scene to help her. She was now unconscious on the ground. According to a French news site, they tried to resuscitate Elodie for an hour, but it was no use. She ended up dying from a cardiac arrest due to the fall, rather than the injuries of the fall itself. The scene was quickly evacuated, the ride was closed down, and an investigation was launched. In the immediate aftermath, Jalise would go on to claim what happened was a tragic accident, and that the ride had passed the safety inspection a few months earlier, but this was a fabrication of the truth. Investigators found out that the modifications done on the ride were done after the inspection and were not disclosed to anyone, which is against the law. If he wanted to make these changes, he should have done these and then had a safety inspection done, but he did not. Officers then charged Jalise with involuntary homicide due to the safety breaches. One investigator said, "The expert was able to note that the first notch of each safety bar had been ground down, so as not to allow access to ride for people of a very large build. The fact that they did this without approval is absolutely crazy." Elodie was a larger build, which is why many said she died, but if they hadn't have done these modifications in the first place, she'd still be alive. Now, this case is still ongoing. The last update came in March of 2024, when the Beauvais Prosecutor Office requested that Jalise be referred to the criminal court. The Prosecutor Office called it a deliberate violation of an obligation of prudence or safety. And quite frankly, if everything that has been reported is true, I hope they throw the book at him. Whilst this was ongoing in the background, Jalise made the decision to completely dismantle and destroy the Formula 1 ride, and it never reopened. Michael, Elodie's partner, felt absolutely terrible that he couldn't hold on, and tragically had to explain to their son, 2-year-old Alan, that she had gone to heaven, but he could not understand. Comments flooded her Facebook, talking about how much of a great person she was and how badly she will be missed. Like I mentioned, the trial for this case is still ongoing. The park was sold by Jalise in 2025, and when I receive more updates I will let everyone know. May Elodie rest in peace, and as always, thank you for watching. As always, this is not an AI channel, I do everything myself, and if you appreciate my work, subscribe, and if you want to go the extra step to support the channel, maybe consider becoming a member. Thank you Incogni for sponsoring this video. Sponsors like this help me keep the channel going. To me, the fact that Jalise removed the seatbelt and never did any other safety inspections is just crazy. Let me know what you think about this case in the comments below. Do you think it was preventable? And as always, thank you for watching.